Good morning and welcome to Recipe for Success. My name is Nancy Giacalone, and I happened to be in the kitchen one day, having no idea what I was making, but I was making something important. And I started thinking about it, and I'm like, no matter what it is that you make, there's always one ingredient or technique that's really critical to the outcome of whatever it is that you're making. And the more I thought about that, I thought, you know what? The same thing is true in life and in business. So today, my very special guest is Gregory Jerome, and we're going to talk about the power of image. In full transparency, I ran across him on LinkedIn and stalked him for a little while because he was putting something out there that I wasn't seeing and really resonated with me. He was talking about how important style was, and not, fancy designer style, but really how it helps you make an impression. And with his background, he was also talking about the psychology of it. So that really resonated with me. And I hunted him down and said, hey, will you come on here? Because I think it's an important subject to talk about. So I'm really thrilled to have Gregory Jerome with us this morning. I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell everybody a little bit about your history.
Welcome, everybody, to Together We Serve TV show on E360 TV. It's Friday afternoon, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, and we're live. I'm excited. Do you see that picture of Gregory? He's my guest. He's so dapper. I'm 64. I'm still learning from guys like him. And when I first met him, I'm like, this dude gets it. You know why he gets it? It's just not about fashion and style. That's a part of it. But the mentality, the psychology behind it, which I've not heard from a lot of people that talk about fashion and style, how the mind is a part of that, how people see you in their mind, in their mindset. So he's very unique, very young, got an incredible story, which we'll get into. But let's bring this gentleman onto the show. Gregory, welcome to Together We Serve.
Hey, welcome, Steve, man. Thank you for having me.
Look at this guy. He's living it. Just, again, dapper. It's an old school phrase for you young people. That means he looks awesome, or he looks, what's a phrase a young person would use? Looks.
Man, I got the drip on. They call
Drip.
it drip.
Thank you. The drip. He's got his drip going. See? That's why I love hanging out with younger people. They teach me so much.
Hey, listen, I'm not as young as you think I am, but thank you.
He looks 20 to me. I know he's probably 50. No, he's not 50. But whatever he is, doesn't matter. I don't usually do this on my show, especially the TV show, the background. But I want to start with your background. What started all this? And you came from some tough beginnings, and you're so successful now. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, if we want to get into the dynamics of like the education experience and like career experience, I come from a space where I've spent 20 plus years in the fashion industry growing up, jumped in it when I was 16, elevated myself until I was an adult, going through different not career paths, but different companies. So working for individuals, like Foot Action was my first job. I was working in a mall, North Park Mall, in a place called Texarkana, Texas. And I was there selling sneakers because I needed the coolest sneakers because my family didn't have enough money to like afford the latest and hippest shoes. Right. So I've just elevated from there. Then I went to Dillard's, made my way to Wilson's Leather, Coach, Louis Vuitton, Ralph Lauren, and etc. And so when it comes to the more educational, I have a background in psychology, behavioral science, and ethics. So I used to be a psychologist, a mentor. I used to also create programs. I also help spearhead some like career success dealing with image. So that's where all the like the technicalities came from, and like education and the experience in the fashion space. Now, when we're talking about life experience, what changed the trajectory of my life was when I was living in Los Angeles, and I had to, I'm going to say the universe put me in a space of going through a turbulence time of being homeless, and being able to go through that cycle and understand those individuals and what they encounter in life. and it allowed me to have aspirations to become a more epic individual.
Homeless. You're the best dressed psychologist I've ever met. I've met a few too, so God bless that. Homeless. It's tragic. But what's the lesson that you learned, or one of the lessons that got you out of it?
Main lesson was gratitude, not taking things for granted.
Yeah, that is your heart, which was together we serve. You've been on my podcast doing business with a servant's heart because you have that servant's heart. Tell us the shoe story. I've shared it with a number of people. Thank you for sharing. But it's a powerful story. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I was living in Los Angeles at the time, and I was doing some part time work on the west side of LA, and I used to have to get like weekly gym memberships in order to take a shower, to get ready for work and prepare myself for the day. And I was making a little bit of money, so I was like, well, I need some gym shoes. So I went to Ross and bought some new Reebok soft foams, and they were my favorite because I really liked them. And one day when I was leaving the gym, I was walking down, I think it was LaGuardia. Is it look? I can't remember the street, but when I was walking down the street, there was a homeless guy sleeping inside of his storefront. And when I walked by him, he was actually he was barefooted, but he had tape around his feet because he had no socks, he had no shoes. And so in my bag, I had my shoes, and the spirit asked me to wake him up and ask him what size shoe he wore. And when he woke up, he told me it was the same size as me. So I gave my shoes to him because I knew I was making a part time. I was working, so I could get more shoes, but maybe not him.
Why? I mean, I've read this story a number of times because I've shared it. I don't know how many people would do that when they're struggling to give. That's what I love about you, Gregory, is that you gave even though you were struggling, and not struggling as much as that guy,
Yeah.
which is the key lesson here. You were doing better than him. So you're just like, I'm going to give him a gift. I can always get another pair of shoes. What mindset did you have to do that? Was it not just gratitude? Was there anything else?
Well, this is my whole life. I've been a part of organizations, or uh, I believe my mission was always to help people. And the mindset about this is, you do good in the world, you take care of people, and that's something that my mom kind of instilled in me as well growing up. I remember when I was living in Texarkana, we lived in a duplex, but the way the houses are created in Texas, there's like these alleyways that separate houses. So the house behind me, this is when I was an adolescent, the house behind me was actually a boys' home. And so this boys' home, these young boys that, they went through all these different waves of life. And I didn't have a lot of friends in the neighborhood. So I went over and I started hanging out with them. Like I literally went and knocked on the door and asked what it was. And I was curious to meet him. And this just prolonged from that. It's always been able to give, because you never know what people are going through, no matter what it is. If it's a conversation, if it's material things, if it's finances, sometimes people just need that hand up, not necessarily, and it's not for recognition.
Yeah. You know what I love about this, and I say this about myself, I'm going to say it about you. Me and you are nothing special, but we're special because we took the action. How many people thought about giving their shoes to that guy? But you took the action step to do that, to actually serve.
Yeah.
So tell the audience, I mean, what a story. Crazy. You're obviously out of homeless and doing well. What's a piece of tip you'd give them to go, "God, I want to help like Gregory did? What do I got to do?"
Just have empathy for people.
Empathy.
Like that's the bottom line, is having empathy and understanding. Like put yourself in that person's shoe. What would you want? What would you need? Would you want somebody to do something for you? Yeah, you probably would. And not to do it out of glory and fame. Because I see a lot of prestigious people, they give as a showmanship. Oh, well, we'll help them. And then go back and tell their friends, guess what I did? Like that's not it. And the other thing is, like, I don't believe in really giving all to, and I'm putting this in a sense of like corporate. Like, it's a lot of people want to give to the major companies that's really like prolific. But most of the time, they don't think about the smaller organizations that are actually doing the boots on the ground work, that's actually in the face with the people, that's actually providing these services. So that's where I like to say, how are you creating direct impact to people? Are you really in the trenches with them? Are you boots on the ground? Do you really go have a conversation with these people? Do you really touch these people?
Yeah. Financial people that have been financially successful on my shows, you nailed it, because they tell me, yeah, a guy goes gives $1 million and walks away. Take the next step, be on their board, show up and give up soup, give out clothes, be involved with the nonprofit or
Yeah.
whoever you're giving to. Even if you're not financially successful, go to a soup kitchen, give $5, but spend an hour there or spend 30 minutes, because that's where the help is really needed. The money helps,
Yeah.
but
It's a
you know,
tool. It's a
it's a
vehicle.
tool. Yes, that's it. And their expertise. This one guy, he gave $1 million, but spent hours with the nonprofit, and they doubled their donations because of his help. He has all this expertise. He gave
Yeah.
it away for free. Not only his money, but he gave away his heart, which is very powerful.
Yeah.
Gregory, this is I'm so excited. You make me speechless, which is rare for me, because you go from homeless to winning that award, and we could talk about that. That really spurred your business, but how could you go? I mean, how much is image? How did it become so important to you? Is it because you're homeless and your image and identity was so low, or what got you to the image part?
I've always been about style and fashion, no matter what. Like, I grew up in it. Like that. I'm a creative artist, so that's how I express myself. Yet I also know the dynamics when it comes to elevation and opportunities. Because if you we'll just use an example. If we look at a stereotypical homeless person, nobody's really going to give them opportunity or for a job or anything, uh, for the most part. So it became more important for me because I seen the end goal of where I wanted to be in life, and I knew how I had to show up in order to be in front of those kind of people. So that gave me the opportunity to communicate. So I knew I had skills, I knew I had talent, I knew I had passion. So I just needed somebody to provide that opportunity. So I had to be able to create the opportunity for myself, not just begging somebody for something and acting because they don't. I remember when it's ironic. The story is ironic. So I remember when I was in Los Angeles and I was looking for work. I went to Beverly Hills, the Ralph Lauren store, and I went in. I didn't have a tie. I had a tie on. Like, I went in for the job, and at one point, I told the hiring manager, I was like, "I'm homeless, man. I really need a job." And the guy at the time told me, he was like, "Well, you got to have this and you got to have that, and at least you wore a tie to the interview." And he didn't hire me.
Wow.
But 4 or 5 years later, I when I relocated to Philly, I went in. This is when I started my business. I was wanting to be like an external stylist for companies, help drive more money and revenue to companies, right? So I did little local retail shops, and I was like, why not do this with the major leagues? How can I step into the higher echelon of retail? So I went into Ralph Lauren and King of Prussia Mall, and I went in and I just talked to the manager about it. I was like, "Hey, do you guys ever work with like stylists and things like that?" And they just started having this conversation about bringing this program into Ralph Lauren. So long story short, I signed a contract with Ralph Lauren as the first external stylist in the King of Prussia area.
Well, Ralph Lauren is a massive jump,
Yes.
but you had the guts and the fortitude to just do it. Will you worry about being rejected?
No.
Not at all.
I've been rejected, I don't know, 13,000 times.
Yeah. It's a beautiful lesson, Gregory, because that's big. In the fashion industry, Ralph Lauren's one of the top, it's like with, tech, Google's up there.
Yeah.
Shopping, Amazon, you're right at the top, and you didn't care, but you walked in and got the job because you didn't care.
Yeah, it's just having confidence.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is if you exude confidence is a style. And what style of confidence do you have when you walk into a place? And some people are attracted to confidence.
I think a lot of people are. Celebrities and athletes prove that. Tom Brady walks in. Well, who knows when he's behind the doors, but when he's out in public, I mean, he's handsome and all that, but you could see he walked. The Rock is another one. Confidence. Mark Wahlberg, and these are obviously people I like, but they just bring with confidence.
Yeah.
So identity. You mentioned that word.
Yes.
How important is it for business?
It's recognition. It's a brand. It's representation. So what is your representation? What is your brand? What is your identity? What do you resonate with as a person? Who are you at that point when you really talk about what is identity? Who are you? What are your morals? What are your value systems? What are your belief systems? How do you align those things to create that identity? Yeah. Because it has to be consistent across the board. So if you go back 20 years of a resume for me, even in the social space of community engagement, education, mental health, behavioral health, that's been my resume since I was a kid. Nothing has changed. I've always served. No matter me being a waiter at a retirement home, I served.
It's beautiful. And that's what it should be. Every aspect of your life, you should be able to serve. The impact is not the important thing. It's just the ability of doing it or whatever that looks like. Audience, I'm going to tell you, he's much younger than me. I'm 64. Let's just say he started out on, if he wants to say his age, you can. Let's say he's 20, 30 years younger than me. But I learned something from him because remember I told you the story that Tony Robbins always wears the baseball hat? And he goes, Steve, you're not Tony Robbins. He can get away with it. You set your brand right now. And that's months ago when we talked. I've told that story. I even told it this morning on a podcast. It resonated with me. It was so brilliant that you said that. Don't try to be somebody else you're not. How important is that when you dress?
Yeah, it's authenticity.
Okay.
Authenticity. I literally had this conversation the other day at a networking event called Meeting of the Minds. And I was talking to some financial advisors. And they were talking about, well, this is my demographic of people. And then we got on the topic of, hey, well, this is where I go socialize. Like, how do I dress in these spaces? And I'm like, you have to be yourself no matter what. Find your identity within that. How do you express yourself? What colors do you wear? How tailored are your clothes? How do you express creativity of just being authentic? So it's important when you start thinking about that, because believe it or not, even that can have an impact on other people. Because I was wearing a Robert Graham shirt. I don't know if you know who Robert Graham is.
Heard of him.
But it's a very colorful brand. It's like they have these special wild shirts. And I was wearing one the other day when I went to the networking event. Like, it was red, orange, fuchsia, like purple. It had all these different colors. Everybody else in the place were wearing navy blue, black, and gray, as most people wear when they go out and network. So people came up to me. They were like, man, I really like your shirt. And then women were like, "Hey, the shirt looks great on you." And then these start to prompt questions. What do you do, man? Right? But then another guy's like, "Hey, man, when I looked at you, I was like, man, that guy's bold. That guy is very confident. Like it shows."
So you're making so what you we'll get in what you do in the second half. We'll come up to halftime here. So you become memorable. So nobody, all those people did not forget you
No.
because of how you dressed and the confidence. You could dress like that if you walk around like this and oh, woe is me, and oh God, I didn't mean it. These
Yeah.
people helping me, a negative attitude.
Yeah.
So the mindset to the close have to be in line.
Yes.
Man, look, see, I love being a host when I get taught by experts like him. It's so powerful. We got some questions coming in. You ready for some questions?
Yeah. Before we get to questions, I want to make this clear to people.
Yes.
I am 46, man.
Holy mackerel. You're only a year older than me. I wish. I'm 64. You're actually flipping me. I'm 64. You're 46. Well, we
Yeah.
are aligned. We are meant to be here. So I didn't know this. Somebody's doing research on you. I don't know who it is, but they just put out, how did your music industry background influence your approach to image consulting? Are you a singer?
Yeah. So before fashion was the thing, music was my thing.
That's right.
So what I call myself growing up, I call myself a poet at large. I was a lyricist. I spoke about human empowerment. I talked about conscious music, which are the things that people don't want to discuss, mostly just behind the four walls with their friends, but they think about it. So these are the things that I spoke about. So even when I performed, like that was an image, that was a brand. So I had to correlate with what that would be like. So even if it was for me performing in what I would call like the hole in the wall clubs of me trying to make it, like that was a whole image. But then when I went to go perform for the Oklahoma Philharmonic, like my style was different because I was performing with an orchestra. So that had to change. So when it comes to like creating this image, I also think about ethics. I think about the environments that I'm in, but still, how can I be myself?
Little hocus pocus magic, my friend. Did you know you're a magician? That's magical, powerful. So there's so much to unpack here because style is, I've learned so much and how important his style is. So bring the psychology part into it that you are an expert at, and how did you bridge those two and melt them together, style and psychology?
Yeah, because well, fashion psychology is really the the basic principles of psychology, human behavior, self-image, fashion. So when you bring those together, you have to start thinking about cognitive factors, the behavioral factors, the emotional factors that go into this when you start talking about fashion. That comes from color, the color theories, even color psychology. It comes from metaphysics of color. If you're a spiritual person, then it comes to the fabrics. What fabrics make you feel the best, what's comfortable, even in climate. The way it's structured. There's a thing called enclothed cognition. So enclothed cognition is how the clothes actually make you feel. And a lot of people dress on the basis of how they feel versus how do they want to feel in dressing for that way.
Say that again, because that's powerful.
Most people dress the way that they feel versus dressing to feel like they want to. So like for instance, I'll give you an example.
Yeah,
So if it's overcast outside, most people wear what colors? What do you think?
black and blue,
Yeah,
darker colors.
they kind of match the frequency of outside. Person like me, I may want to come out in some Kelly green or some purple. That's what I did the other day. I did a whole scheme of like purple and like navy blue. And people were like, man, you got this purple thing going on. I was like, yeah. And I just stood out and people just loved it. So
Standing out.
instead of like dressing how you feel, dress how you want to feel.
Well, and I talk all the time. We've talked about is bringing value to people, serving them makes you stand out because they remember you. You're doing the same thing with your style and your fashion.
Yeah.
So people don't forget you, and the people want to be around you when they're happier around you. This is so brilliant. We'll get into how you can help people, but before we get to the break, I had this great question. I gotta find it. Oh, this I love this question. Why do most executives get their personal brand wrong?
Lack of self-awareness.
Really? Never would have guessed that. Explain that.
Well, self-awareness, like knowing who you are. It's going back to identity and like knowing who you are on the inside.
Ah, gotcha. So not knowing that, they're going to dress wrong. Well,
Well,
not wrong, but
that's one. And most of the time, it's all cookie cutter. Think about it. The last time you seen a group of executives, they all look the same. I'm just saying, like it's true. It's
yeah.
true. They all look the same. So it's like, how do you separate yourself? Or are you just blending in with everybody else in the world? And then you have to think, and how does that impact your team? What message are you giving to your team?
Yeah.
You
Navy
might
black
have a
sea.
lackluster team.
Yeah, navy blue suits, walking down Manhattan, 5 guys, all executives at different
Oh,
companies, look like they're all twins.
hey, listen, I'm my intention, I'm an executive. I'm gonna be a cool, fashionable executive. You're gonna know me when I come into the room. This is my
Yeah.
brand. This is me. I am not like everybody else.
Hmm. Well, let's get this last question. How can someone identify their authentic style versus following trends?
Well, that's where you have to have these questions. You have to question yourself. What do you believe in? What are your belief systems? The other thing is, what do you like? And the way you find this is like through inspiration. Couple of things. Destinations. So you can pull from inspiration from destinations. What is that culture of destination? What does that look like? We can also pull from interior design. You can look at magazines of interior design and look at the color schemes, like the color waves that they have, and incorporate those colors into your style. Or you can look at art on the wall that you like. What colors are within that? And how do you apply those to your garments? How can you put the little details into your garments? Like even with this, like my jacket, I was like, oh, it's brown jacket, right? But then if you see here, like there's a little yellow keyhole right there, right? So it's like that's a little different. And then here, when you look like, so this one is burgundy. So it's like, how can you add these little touches? And it's just details. Small details make the difference. Even if you wear a black suit, how can you make the black suit a little bit different than everybody else's black suit?
So that's what an executive should do is their navy suit should be a little different than the other 4 guys so
Yeah.
they stand out.
Put a little, what they call it, pizzazz.
Pizzazz.
I
Yeah. I love
want to
that
make sure I
term.
talk your language, Steve.
Yeah, you're all over it, brother. You are all over it. I mean, this is so good for me because I'm, fashion's not my expertise, and audience, we're gonna get his contact info if you're interested. He's helped many people grow very fast. We'll get into it in the break here. Well, let's take a break right now. Let's get your drink of water, Gregory, and audience. We'll be back in about 5 to 8 minutes. We're gonna listen to the show he was on and learn more about Gregory, and we'll be back soon. So enjoy the break.
Well, first of all, Nancy, thank you very much for allowing me to be here on this platform with you to be able to share what I do in a profession. And so I'm a principle-centered style coach. I actually help empower people by helping them become more aware of their own heroism with vitality and morale, and boosting their confidence in every day and also in their professional life as well. My background consists of business marketing management, psychology, behavioral science, and ethics, as well as organizational communication. And so I use these to help organizations and individuals to really think about how their brand expression is presented to not only themselves, but to their clients.
Well, I think that organizations spend a lot of time, effort, money on what their logo looks like, what their marketing looks like, but they don't think about how their people are actually part of their brand and how that can carry forward.
Correct. I think the focus when people think about marketing, they just think about the brand colors, logos, things of that nature. But when you really think about it, the most essential marketing piece are going to be your employees because they present themselves to future clients. So now you have to think about client retention. How do you obtain those clients? Can you increase your sales by the representation of your employees? Because a lot of what I've experienced now, especially during this time of re-entering society after COVID, there's been a decrease in customer experience due to the brand expression and representation of their employees, because it also plays a part in their behaviors and even their communication.
I couldn't agree with you more. So, and again, that's one of the things that caught my attention about you was because you were putting that message out that I believed in, and I was hearing somebody else say it. But during COVID, and rightfully so, people were working from home. And so they just kind of let all of that traditional professional attire go by the wayside. But I don't know about you, but for me at least, when I put on professional work outfit and I'm ready to go see a client or do something, my mindset changes from jeans and a sweatshirt to a suit or a dress or, a nice pair of slacks and a blouse. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to express your intention. At least that's kind of how I see it.
I agree. Everything should be based on intention anyway, no matter if you're doing things in a personal or professional space. Being able to this is the main thing I help people to understand, because there's a lot of thoughts, or I should say a lot of um, ideas behind the way that you present yourself is superficial, that clothes doesn't matter, or the way I present myself doesn't matter. In fact, it actually does, because I think from this very unique space, which what I've now identified, the peacock effect. So when we think about the peacock, you know, we they try to attract a mate, simple and plain. What we do every day, we try to attract if there's going to be a romantic partnership or if there's going to be business so we can make sales. So either way, we're trying to attract things to us versus trying to chase things. So if we understand the way that I present myself, it can also represent integrity. It can also represent trust. So these are the things that are the nonverbal communication points that people forget, that this is what this presents to you. You don't find a partner by going through a room and saying, "Oh, they have a beautiful personality. I love the way they have morals and values." Like, we see things, that's human animal instinct first. Princeton did a study last year where it takes now like 7 seconds for a person to judge you.
Yeah, it's very true. I know that well, it was a long time ago, but when I first started my business, I was working out of my house for about 5 years, and people would tease me about the fact that I literally got up, I put on work, nice work clothes, high heels, the whole 9 yards, and went into my little home office and
Yeah.
worked there. And I actually had I would go down to the local coffee shop and get a cup of coffee and come back to my office. It helped me frame my mindset
Welcome back to Together We Serve TV show. I can listen to that guy all day. And you're going to hear more from him because it's something that's not talked about. And fashion has changed. I remember I'm 64. I've mentioned multiple times, but what my dad wore to meetings and to church and all that was suits and ties and all that. We obviously see the change now. Ties aren't as popular unless maybe it's a wedding or possibly a funeral. But understanding those trends are really important. I'm going to ask that question. Let's bring this expert back on. Gregory, the expert. Welcome back.
How's it going?
Trends. How important are they to follow those?
They're not important.
Okay.
I mean, can we utilize those as inspiration and style? Sure. But it's not important. Authenticity is what's important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
you said that.
Yeah, because this is why it's important. Because once you understand your own personal style, that's forever. Trends come and go.
Yeah.
So do you want to be timeless or do you want to be right?
Well, let's jump into it. You coach and advise. You're a consultant for fashion, for style, for people.
Yeah.
That's why it's important to have somebody like you if they really want to up their game in this industry? Because if I don't know what my style is, kind of screwed, all right?
Yeah. I mean, I'll use an example. I'm in a small group and there's a wealth advisor that's there. I really want to get my finances in order and structure to build and grow. Well, I don't know what I'm doing in that space. I don't know a lot about the investments and like where I should put my money. Like I think it was it was the target date. I think it's like 2025 investment or 2055 investment. It's like that target date investment, right? For retirement. And I was like, never heard of it. Never heard of it. I wasn't educated in that space growing up. Nobody taught me about the investments and in money management and strategies. So if I want to learn that and become better in it and grow money, I need to go to an expertise who can show me how to do it. And pride is pride is the most deadliest weapon in the world.
I can say that again. That's a strong word. That's a tough word because people don't know how to handle that and what it really actually means. Is it authentic too? That's the other thing, like you said. I've got this great question. It came up while we were in the break. Where is it? I love this because I work with introverted entrepreneurs all the time. How do you help introverted leaders amplify their presence through style?
Well, the same way that I work with anybody else. There's a questionnaire. It's an intake. I use it just like if you go into a mental health facility, they do it anywhere does an intake on you, right? So I do an intake and I help them uncover and rediscover certain things with these questions. So there's about 22 questions they have to answer. And so this allows me to tap into the subconscious of the individual. Because a lot of people, they're most likely not to understand where some things may come from, habits, behaviors, etc., until a provocative question is asked to them to make them really think. Critical thinking moments, right? This is what helps uncover what they don't think about.
Yeah.
So just going through this intake is how we start to like redevelop, reimagine of who they should be.
So, and there's another question here that really talked about. Tell it. Well, let's see if I can. Doesn't matter. I'm going to ask the question anyways. Tell us a story of somebody you work with that went through the intake, went through your journey with your coaching, and what was the end result?
Oh my gosh, where can we start?
I knew that'd be a tough question. I knew there's so many you could pick from.
Yeah, I can. I'll use the most recent one. There was a client. We will call her um, Mrs. Smith. So Mrs. Smith is in HR. She's in human resources, and she had to do a presentation in front of 50 male CEOs, and she was unsure how she would present herself. She didn't know. She wanted to understand how could she present herself to be confident. How could she get them to be more engaged with her? How could she show that confidence in that structure? And what I help her do, we tapped into understanding her body type. We understood her. We did a color analysis for her, and we put some colors together that she normally would not have chosen, and even certain styles and cuts of this outfit. And so she went to this meeting. First of all, let's start here. When after her husband helped her with purchasing some of these products, right? These garments. So when she woke up and got ready for work, she walked into the kitchen, I do believe she said, and her husband was like, "Oh my gosh, like you look great." Let's start there. Outcome. Once she got to the place, she said there was actually 9 other women there with her as well in the audience. And they all came to her and approached her about her outfit and complimented her. Moving forward to her presentation, she said, I didn't even really do a presentation. It actually became a Q&A because the men actually started asking me so many questions and telling me their stories of experience because they felt comfortable with her and she was confident in what she was doing.
Wow.
So these are the kind of outcomes that happened.
Okay.
Some other outcomes is, the bottom line increase. On average, 17% increase on the bottom line when I work with clients, when I'm finished with them.
So what comes to my mind, it might be a tough question, I don't think, for you. I don't know why I said that. So my clothes and my look could help me make a sale.
Absolutely. This is what I tell VPs of sales, or I don't tell them, I ask them. I said, your best salesperson, how can he sell something without saying a word?
Okay.
What's the answer? It's this.
Well, yeah.
Let's use this analogy for people who married or have significant others. When you seen that person, you was attracted to the way that they looked first. You didn't know nothing about them. And what did you do? You approached them, more than likely. And then you began to know about that person.
Sorry, I don't understand.
So how can you attract? How can you become the law of attraction?
Wow. I didn't think about that. You're right. Every first engagement for the house spouse or significant other is the attraction, because you look over and go, that's an attractive woman or that's a handsome man. I'm going to go talk. And then you try to build a relationship if it's worthwhile. Same
Right.
thing in business. So it's the same thing in business.
Same thing. We're human.
Hmm.
Because here's the thing, like people don't understand. Like you can actually, there's personality traits within the way that you dress. And I'll use an example. I use me even today, right? Even with this lapel pin that was created for me from a little girl. Her name is Layla. She's out of Tennessee. She actually created this for me. And I was like, hey, I'm gonna wear this for you. And she was like, yeah. So even this lets people know I'm creative, have a great personality. I'm approachable.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? That sets me different. But then you have some people who are classic. They're very clean cut, very polished. So that personality trait is what we call openness. So they're classic, they're more organized, they pay attention to details. So you can learn a lot just by looking at a person. And then you can have a person where you say, oh man, that person look like a slob. Well, let's see. Well, let's see what happens with that person. Well, that person could be unorganized, disheveled, have no respect for himself nor his work. So, do I really want to do business with them? Is this superficial? Maybe, maybe not.
You're hitting some major points here because I'm thinking, and nothing against you're homeless, so you go by a homeless person, you go to the other side of the street because you're worried, or I've seen it all the time. You've probably seen it too.
Yeah, cross
It's
the
kind
street.
of natural action. Natural reaction is fear, unknown. Oh my god, could be
Yeah.
crazy, which is we shouldn't be judging, but
Yeah.
that's a whole nother thing.
No, that's it's well. Listen, it's not that we shouldn't judge because we all do. That's part. As I said in that last interview, that's animal instinct with us. Even if we talk about the food that we eat in a restaurant, if it's not served properly, that presentation, I don't care if it is from a 5-star restaurant. If it comes out and it doesn't look great, you're probably not going to eat it. You probably want to send it back. You purchase your home based on the way it looks and the perks that comes with it, the same way you buy your car that you drive by looking at it. Destinations you go to because you've seen it somewhere without even experiencing it.
Wow, didn't think about that. Yeah, interesting. So this is an experience
It
as
is.
well.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
It's
Okay.
sensory. It's a sensory experience.
Yeah, yeah, because you're seeing people. And I got this question, which I'm interested to know: how has style evolved as a tool for influence in the modern era?
Well, when we start thinking about that, I'll use COVID as a right as a point. Everybody know what that was like, and people still today are talking about, oh man, COVID. Everybody's dressing um, very casual, so I don't dress this way anymore, or X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, hey, don't allow that to like impact the way that you dress today. Like you have to be able to be who you are and don't allow, society or situations to change the trajectory of the way that you present yourself in the modern day. Just because everybody else is doing it, don't mean you're supposed to be doing it. If everybody's eating chocolate cake every single day, are you going to eat chocolate cake every single day? No, you're not. You shouldn't because it's not healthy.
Yeah, and you want to be an outlier in business.
Yeah,
You're in real
absolutely,
estate. You dress like every realtor. You're going to look like
absolutely,
yeah, and
absolutely.
that help you stand out, especially in the
Yeah.
industry that's pretty popular. A lot of people are doing it. So is there a I'm sure there is. I'm thinking of sports. We've got our playbook. Is
Yeah.
there a playbook with your jacket and your shirt, your shoes, and your pants that you should be following? Is that something? I'm sure that's something you help people with. He'll be right back. We got a little technical difficulties. Um, I hope you learn a lot about fashion and how important it can be and what it could be for you. Because what I've learned a lot from Gregory is it's making a difference for people. And don't you want to make a difference for you? It's a powerful, powerful way to really enhance your business, grow your revenue, and feel good. I mean, he told that story. That lady walked out before going to work, and her husband goes, "You look really good." She felt good after hearing that. And then when she started doing her speech and people were asking questions and were more relatable to her, makes it so much easier to be good in business, to grow your business, to build your personal brand. If you're an entrepreneur out there, you all know that you got to build your personal brand because that's what you're all about. You don't work for Apple, Google, Amazon. That's the brand. You just work for the umbrella. But if you're that realtor, you're that business coach or whatever coach, that's your brand. And any way you can elevate, it's why this is called Elevated, the Gregory Jerome experience. That's what you should be trying to do and do better at and grow with. And perfect timing, he's back. We're coming to the end of the show. I just riffed a little bit about how awesome you are. We always make good things happen. So, on the end note here, what's the last piece of advice you give people about their fashion?
Uh, I would say be true to yourself. Uh, try to prevent from having like outside influence uh, to be cookie cutter. I would say experiment. That's the word I would use. Experiment with your fashion. I think some of the ladies understand what I'm saying when I say this. Play dress up. Get in your closet, play in your clothes. Mix and match them. See what looks good. See what needs to be tailored or like play in the closet. Explore, have fun. Like that's it. Have fun with your fashion.
I've learned a lot today, but the two words that I've learned from you is authentic and fun.
Yeah.
Which is missing in business. We're so serious and, business is struggling. And those two things, I'm glad you said that. Audience, the GregoryJerome.com. You go to IG, you saw Gregory Jerome, find him on LinkedIn. I talk to him on LinkedIn all the time, but we've conversed on LinkedIn. It's a great way to do introductions or reach out to him and ask him questions and find out about what he's doing. We're coming to the end here. Let's learn what Gregory Jerome is all about. So you're on my podcast. I asked a similar question. It's a little different.
All right.
So I've got a Learjet I reserved for you.
I appreciate that.
You bet, because I'm going to be co-pilot, so I'm coming with you. But you got 4 chairs. It's a small jet. You've got 3 empty chairs. Who are you going to fly with, dead or alive, to just sit for hours because you're going to go on a long trip, to get to know, to learn from, but more importantly, where would that jet go to?
All right. So the 3 seats.
3 seats.
3 seats. All right. The first seat would be reserved for Mansa Musa. He was the wealthiest man in the world.
Really?
In history. Yes. But he also gave it away too along the way of a journey. He gave it away to people.
Wow.
So we'd love to have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
Second person that I would reserve a seat for, believe it or not, probably the Queen Elizabeth.
Interesting.
Yeah. The last one that I would reserve a seat for would probably be Nelson Mandela.
There's some powerful people in that plane.
Yeah. And the destination that I would select, believe it or not, after all that knowledge and information shared, we're going to party. So we're going to Ibiza.
Never been. I'm co-piloted. I'm joining you. We would have a blast together. Oh my God. Sorry, audience. We're going to man crush right now, but we'd have a blast. We would laugh our butt off and have a great old time. Again, the GregoryJerome.com. IG is Gregory Jerome. Instagram. Look up Gregory Jerome on LinkedIn. He plays there a lot. And reach out to him if you have questions. And you know what? If you want to up your game and your style, I've talked to a number of people who have hired him. He's unbelievable. He's the man. He's the real deal. With that being said, we'll see you next Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. The TV show Together We Serve. Gregory, thank you so much. God bless you. Keep doing what you're doing. And thank you all. We'll see you all next week.